Good afternoon, guys, and welcome. I'm just going to check that the sound is working and also that the image is working. And I do think that we're live. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so we're starting here with Bitcoin. Welcome. Today is the 2nd of February 2022, and it's just coming up to 2 o'clock. So 2022 p.m. Crazy, isn't it? So anyway, it's happy Chinese New Year, Year of the Tiger, as you can imagine, because it is the Chinese New Year. Everybody's on holiday in China, so the Asian session is going to be a little bit less liquid. So there is room for fuckery in the night for us. So for the Asian session, just bear in mind that there's going to be perhaps a little bit more volatility or just non-existing price action at all. Okay, so anyway, with that out of the way, I hope you guys are okay. I just wanted to highlight that. So here we are. I'm looking at the weekly chart here on Bitcoin, and I just wanted to highlight something that I noticed the other day, which is essentially this weekly demand block, which is basically from this order block here on the weekly. So that's exactly where we bounced. Okay, what I've got here highlighted is, you can see this little tool here, this indicator here. This is essentially an anchored VWAP with a standard deviation, and this determines what value is, what fair value is for the price. Okay, so as you can see, we've still got around about 41,800, 41,600, something like that around here. We've still got that level of interest, which is essentially the barrier, if you like, to enter fair value. Okay, so there is quite a lot of price convergence at these levels here, around about $42,000, and I'll illustrate this a little bit better as we go on. But I just wanted to show you here in context, first of all, why we bounced here, and secondly, if this is actually any reason for us to get very excited. Whilst this is constructive price action on the smaller time frames, on the 4 hour, for example, there's higher highs and higher lows. We're still very much in a downtrend. Okay, as you can see here, lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so essentially, unless we break above $44,500, $45,000, there is no break in market structure, and we have to continue to the downside. So why am I showing you this? Because effectively what I'm trying to say is that this could go all the way up to here and just roll over and come and test these lows down here. Okay, so we'll just have to keep that in mind. This is just a macro view. I just wanted to show you sort of like on a bigger time frame what I'm looking at. But in fact, I'm going to leave that there just to add, just to show you what the confluence is. Okay, so in terms of confluence, if I look here at the volume zones, and you all know what the volume zones are by now, they're essentially just a volume profile for the year. Okay, so I'll put the volume profile there, and I'll just delete the volume zones. So you can see here that what I've done, these are essentially high volume clusters. I go over this every single time, but I just wanted to make sure, just for the people that are kind of new here, high volume clusters are usually areas of balance, and so I've put the volume zones here highlighting the exact areas of balance, or thereabouts anyway, especially here on this chart, on the Bybit chart, so that I don't have to have the volume profile on. Okay, so that it cleans up the chart a little bit. Okay, so with that out of the way, if I put here the 12-month VWAP, you can see here that actually the border of this high volume balance here, of this high volume cluster here, just has almost perfect confluence with the lower standard deviation from this yearly VWAP. Okay, the VWAP is anchored to the 1st of January 2021. We are now on the 2nd of February, but nevertheless, this VWAP I think is quite significant. And there's no point of starting to look at where the value is for this year, because it's only been a month, so there's not enough data there. But for now, I think that this is still a very interesting area, and it has confluence basically with the high of this value area here, of this balance area, if you like. Okay, so we haven't reached the bottom of this, although if we were to look for example, on the, I think it was on the Bitfinex chart. Let me just check. It was in fact on the Bitfinex chart. No, perhaps it was on the Coinbase chart. Just bear with me a second. It was definitely on the Bitfinex chart. So let me just adjust this and put this onto the, yes. Okay, so ignore these volume zones. I'm just gonna delete all this. But essentially what I'm trying to show you here is that you've got a volume profile for the more or less the same area right about the 1st of January to 2021. And you can see that the point of control on Bitfinex was way down here around about 33,200. Okay, so from a bullish perspective, if you want to sort of like have a little bit of hopium or whatever, then you could argue that the fair price or the price at which most volume was traded on Bitfinex was around this level, and with this retracement we've actually hit that level perfectly, and we've bounced from there. Okay, that doesn't detract from the fact that we've still got a very low volume area here, and it just so happens to be right where around about that area here of this area of low volume is basically just below this previous area here of consolidation. Okay, so essentially we could come all the way here to around about $41,000, $40,500, and then just roll over. Okay, so in fact, if I make this a little bit more accurate, sort of like that, it is sitting at around about $41,000 there on Bitfinex. So there is an argument here that we've kind of hit that point of control, and this is why we got a bounce there. But this is on a different exchange, and this is a problem with crypto. It's so fragmented. All the price is different from chart to chart and exchange to exchange. So anyway, because we usually trade on Bybit, I just wanted to sort of like carry on charting on Bybit, and you can see that there's not really much difference in terms of where these lines are and where this confluence happens. Okay, so again, we've got a standard deviation around about here, around about $41,000. It just so happens to be the value area high, or the high of this balance area here, of the volume profile. And so this is a very interesting area to look for perhaps prices to the downside. Okay, so again, and I've been mentioning this quite a few times in the previous videos, we could see the price come all the way up to here and then just kind of roll over and get back inside this line. Okay, of course, that if the price gets out of this balance area and becomes imbalanced and comes all the way up to here and starts rotating here, then it's a little bit trickier. I'm going to have to look at smaller time frames, and I'll have more on that for you guys on Friday. But we're not seeing that yet. Okay, so this is basically me just doing projections. Essentially, what I want to see really is the price for the bulls. Anyway, is the price break above this area here of $44,500. Okay, if it breaks above here convincingly, even if kind of retraces back into this imbalance area and confirms this as support, then for me, this here is an area for to enter long. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. This is just for entertainment and educational purposes only. But again, I want to see a break in this market structure. Okay, in order to, so this high needs to be broken above. Okay, and if there is a high, a broken high, so a higher high if you like, then that is an indicative that indeed this is quite a lot of strength, and that there is willingness of participants to buy at these highs. Okay, at the moment we're not seeing that. In fact, I'm seeing quite a lot of weakness in the markets, and I've highlighted this in one of the charts in the group, where in fact I think I've put here, let's have a look at volume, just a normal volume, and you can see here price is increasing, volume is decreasing. Okay, that's usually not a good sign. Okay, with the price increasing, you want to see conviction from the traders. Okay, you want to see something like a higher high here. Okay, in terms of volume. In fact, what we're seeing is exactly the opposite. We see the volume declining and we see the price increasing. Okay, so this is not great, and in my opinion, it's just again, it's just a relief rally. and we are to come and test these highs here, and this would be a perfect entry for a short. So, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not here to give you predictions. I'm just giving you levels, okay? So anyway, that's on the higher time frame scale on BTC. I could also look here at the shorter time frames here on the 4 hour, and I'm going to delete some of these. 12-month VWAP as well. Okay, so you can see here on the 4 hour chart, these are just anchored VWAPs, and you can see here the continuation from the lows. It looks very promising. Okay, so obviously we've bounced here on the first test, we've bounced again on the second test, and now we're just being held down by the previous swing high VWAP, and we haven't even tapped the previous swing high VWAP. Okay, so essentially on a bigger time frame, you can see that these are the swings. Okay, so swing high and another swing high. So we're basically being stopped here on the first one. If we break above that, then it's quite likely that we come and test this one, which is around about 41,600. So yet again, more confluence for those levels that we've been looking at. Okay, so let me just make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to put again those volume zones. Okay, and so even if price comes all the way up to here, it's quite likely to come in and become imbalanced and test over. Okay, the high here, the swing high that we need to break, it just seems to be perfect to have the to enter the high volume edge here of this balance. So I'd like to see, even if we come and test this one, I'd like to see the price to break above 45,000. I know I'm repeating myself, but so what I'm trying to say is that anywhere between 40,000 and 44,000 for me is like an area to start paying attention, and I'll be leaning short. Okay, I'll be looking for shorts, and I'm happy to be proven otherwise. If we break again if we break market structure to the upside, we print a higher high, then even if we come and test lower prices here, we print a higher low, we're likely to go up. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm just really wanting to see what happens now with price action. Like I said to you guys, and I said this last week, there are quite a lot of people eyeing up this level at $42,000. It's also a low volume node here. This is a low volume area between these two balance areas, and so it's likely to cause a little bit of resistance and a little bit of friction there. So that's essentially what I'm looking for. In terms of daily daily levels, there's a daily close here on the edge of this balance. There's a weekly level just before the edge of this balance area here, and there's also a monthly level just there. So there's a big, if you like, and I remove all of this, just using daily, weekly, and monthly closes, you can see that this area here is it's a clusterfuck of levels basically. So you've got a daily, a weekly, and a monthly level close there, which it's very likely that we get rolled over there. So, but again, we're looking at around about 43,400, 43,600. So below 44,000. So that 42k level that everybody's eyeing up could get smashed, and everybody thinks, oh no, we're definitely going to get higher, and then we could still just come up here and essentially just roll over, and it would catch out a lot of people. Okay, but I don't think it's going to be a very clear one, a very clear signal. I think we could even just come up here and start kind of like hovering at this resistance, which will engineer a lot of liquidity, and a lot of people will start going long and put the stops below, and then quite a lot of the other people will go short and put the stops above here. So we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so again, I don't want to sort of overextend myself by giving you predictions of what's going to happen next week, but I do think that on the smaller time frames, you can see here, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, we're perfectly consolidating here, and especially with these VWAPs here kind of compressing in between. So we've got a low one here, and we've got a high one here, okay, causing resistance, and you can see that basically this is still resistance until said otherwise, and this is still support until said otherwise. But the price is compressing, and it's between 37,000 and 39,000 if you like. Okay, so in terms of price action, I think that this could result in an explosive kind of move. Okay, Most people that trade patterns will tell you that this here is an ascending triangle, and it will do something like this. Okay, and as such, ascending triangles tend to break to the upside. So the great majority of pattern traders and breakout traders will be waiting for this to break to the upside. Of course, it could actually break to the upside, but will it print a higher high? That's a different story. Okay, so if it breaks to the upside, it's quite possible that it does a swing failure pattern. It comes all the way up to here, and then kind of wicks up and then rolls over, okay, and catches everybody out. So all the breakout traders that are waiting for that triangle are probably going to get picked out very, very quickly. So this is why I'm trying to give you a sort of an overview of what people might be, what the other market participants might be looking at. There is a lot of people eyeing up this 42k level with good reason. It's a level of interest, and of course it's very obvious on the chart, and Bitcoin doesn't like to trade obvious levels. So yeah, we could be in for a surprise. We could either just roll over here straight away, or we could go a little bit higher so that it attracts more bulls, engineers that liquidity, and then it just rolls over. So that's it in terms of candlestick charts for Bitcoin. I could have a look here at the volume profile. This is again for the daily on Exocharts. We've got an anchored VWAP here around about $40,500. We've got a naked party control at around about $42,000. It's 41,989 to be precise for this volume profile. So again, naked points of control, they do tend to act like magnets. So it is quite possible that we come and take that. But as you can see previously here on this dump, we got very close to taking this one, and we just didn't take it. So these are not the be all and end all, and just because it looks a little bit more like a fancy chart doesn't mean that it's some sort of edge. It's just a different way to organize the data and to different reference points to trade from. So you still need confluence with this, and you still need to look at other things, but essentially these are levels of interest, and when you look at other data you see that there's actually confluence for those levels. Okay, so let's have a look here at the market profile for the day. You can see here we've got a naked party control at around about $37,000. We've got another one at around about 35,300, and we've got that infamous naked party control at around about 42k, where it's basically also a anchored VWAP from this swing high around about 51k. Okay, so you can see here there's plenty of anomalies above. We've not really addressed those yet, so it is quite possible. Well, I wouldn't say it's quite possible. At some point I think that we will come and take those, but I don't see it happening in the very near future, especially because we've got this very low volume area above us, which is that area of imbalance that I was talking about on the volume zones on the candlestick chart. Okay, so again, this area here, this area of imbalance. Okay, so this is a gap, if you like, in terms of price here. It's an inefficiency. So inefficiencies tend to kind of get corrected, but usually they either cause resistance or the price will travel very, very quickly through it. Okay, so again, if the price travels very quickly through it, we've got a couple of obstacles above here with a value area high, naked value area for this profile here from back in January, and we also have the naked party control and the anchored VWAP there for confluence. So 42k level is still definitely a very big level and a level of interest, but we've got plenty of resistance above, especially here between 39,000 and 40,500. Okay, it was expected as a big round number, 40,000, so it's also yet another reason for that. But yeah, what I'm looking essentially is this area here. Okay, so somewhere between 39,000 and 40,500. Okay, if we can break above that, it'll be a very explosive move. It'll be a very quick move, if you like, and then we'll just have to wait and see what it does up here. Okay, will it just hover up here and stay above this and confirm this level here as support now, or will it just kind of wick to the upside, do a swing failure pattern and roll over? So more on that on Friday. We'll have to wait and see if we have any resolution of this by Friday, but if not, then I do expect the price to kind of like start bleeding slowly, rolling down to the downside. I think if we go with the trend, as they say, the trend is your friend, and we're still on the higher time frames, we're still printing low highs and low lows. So that's it for BTC. I did look at the session profile here. There's not much in the way of signals here. I mean, I can see that the you know, we're still kind of like, we're printing higher lows, if you like, but the CVD is very much just flat here. So there's kind of a little bit of a bullish divergence there, but also here you can see that actually we've printed a higher high there in the CVD, so there's aggressive buying going on, and yet the price didn't go higher. The price is in fact going lower. So it is quite likely that even during this little TA update that the price goes a little bit lower, because this is a bearish CVD. Okay, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, you soon will. I'll have some more information on this, but again, levels of support here, the first levels of support of interest around about 37,500 is an interesting level. They're basically single prints, which is low volume areas that could act as support as well. Okay, so I think that is it for BTC. Let's have a quick look at Ethereum. Covered Bitcoin. Yeah, I've covered Bitcoin on market profile as well. So Ethereum USD. Essentially here we're looking at the same type of thing, the volume zones, okay, the volume areas. We're right on the edge of this volume area here. Interestingly, it looks like we're just about getting rejected there. You can see how these work so clearly here. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with Ethereum, but for now we are very much at resistance. Okay, so again, if Bitcoin decides to have a little pump to the upside, then it is quite likely that Ethereum will follow. It could even come as high as here, and then we'll just have to wait and see. If Bitcoin rolls over, then this will roll over, and again it will probably do some sort of like testing. Once it enters this balance area here, it will test the edge of it again once it enters it. So this will be a good entry for a short, high probability short here, and it will probably go down to the downside. Okay, so around about $1,600. That's the bearish case scenario. The bullish case scenario is that in fact Bitcoin is indeed very bullish and we break above 45,000, and if so, then we enter this balance area here on Ethereum, confirm this area here of around about $3,000 as support, and then we break to the upside and go and test $3,600. That's the bullish case scenario. As you can imagine, $3,000 here, this is a big level. It's also a big round number. It's the edge of a high volume cluster here. In fact, let me just put the yearly volume profile here so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the yearly volume profile, and you can see the volume clusters here. The area between these two in imbalance, okay, so low volume node, so it will cause resistance. Especially I think as it is the first time it tapped it, I think this is a very good entry for a short here on Ethereum, so I expect to see a little bit of weakness on Ethereum. But unfortunately, all of these cryptos, other than Bitcoin, they just follow Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin decides to go up, it will drag everything up with it, and all of this TA will be null and void for Ethereum and for all the altcoins that are going to be charting in just a minute. So just please bear that in mind, okay? In an ideal case scenario, if Bitcoin was to do what is expected to do, I do think that, which is basically just roll over, I do think that this will carry on acting as resistance here, this imbalance area, and even if we come and test the highs of this, the edge of the middle distribution here, then we probably just roll over, okay? And if we roll over, like I said, as soon as we enter this volume distribution here, then it is quite likely that we come and test it, test the edge of it again, and then roll over, okay? And then go to the downside. This level here, you can see here, there's a low volume area here, $2,000 is the area of interest. So again, big round number. So if you are in a short from these highs, then I would be looking at $2,000 as a level of interest to either take profit or for a bounce. So just keep that in mind, okay, for the bearish case scenario. In the bullish case scenario, there's not really much of a an obstacle on the way up. So if we get accepted here, and what I mean by accepted is basically breaking above this volume cluster here, getting acceptance at that volume cluster, and then confirming this low volume as support. And if it does so, it's very likely that it will break this market structure here around about $3,400 and go indeed all the way up to around about $3,600, $3,700. Okay, so just bear that in mind. That's the bullish case scenario, but this here is still very much a market structure break. Okay, so you know, we could even come all the way up here and then just roll over and still fall. Okay, so in terms, if you ignore all the volume, if you just look at price action, we still are essentially making lower highs and lower lows. Okay, so again, the trend is your friend. Just keep that in mind and don't get too distracted with other studies and what indicators are telling you. We're basically printing lower highs and lower lows. So on Ethereum USD, I think that is pretty much it. I can look at Exocharts as well. Let's have a look at Exocharts and Ethereum USD here on the market profile for the day. I've already posted this in the group. You guys would have seen that we're very close to a naked point of control, which also is very close to this anchored VWAP from the previous swing high. Okay, from this localized swing high. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so you guys can see it. So it's from this swing high here. Okay, I haven't put an anchored VWAP from the lows here, but I can just show you. So from this swing high, you can see that we're basically battling with it as we speak. Okay, we're right on it now. Okay, so we are there's about 3 or 4 different VWAPs there. They're basically deviations depending on price, and I can show you that in a little bit more detail. And you can see here they're basically, it's a size VWAP. Okay, so in fact I can increase and put another one there. So it's only detailing the VWAPs of trade sizes above 100k, between 100k and over 500,000. Okay, so essentially that's where we are right now. That's why we're finding resistance there, and we haven't even tapped this naked point of control. If we were to tap that naked point of control, it doesn't mean we're just going to go up to the upside. It just means that we've fixed that anomaly. Okay, so I'm looking at this one here as this swing high as a more likely case scenario. And if we break above this, we've got a couple of interesting points here, which is this grey area here. Basically what they are, they're I think they're initial balance, they're naked initial balance, so they're basically the opening session, 2 hours of the opening sessions of different profiles. Okay, and they're basically being untapped. They should act as resistance as well, and if not, then 3,140 is a naked point of control that also has confluence with this VWAP. What does that mean for Ethereum? That basically that all of this here is significant resistance. Okay, very significant resistance. On top of that, we've got that low balance area here, low volume area, which is an imbalance basically. So I don't expect the price to just smash straight through it. It's possible, but I don't expect it to do so. So all eyes on Bitcoin really, and just see what it's doing. So the bullish case scenario for Ethereum, of course, is tapping these two and then holding on this volume distribution here, which means that $3,000 will now be support and 3,500 will be the next resistance. The bearish case scenario, of course, is that even if we tap these levels, we kind of roll over, and then that means that we're going to go and test these levels here. So we've got a point of control here around about $2,400, and we've also got a naked volume point of control at around about $2,250, and we've got, as you can see here, a poor low, so basically no excess on the lows here, and another poor low here. So I think these levels will be taken out straight after that point of control, and even if we come down and go back up a little bit, these levels will be next on the menu. So we'll just have to wait to see. We're definitely at resistance, so this is not a time to be bullish or looking to take longs. This is time to pay attention and really start looking for where you're going to take your shorts. So that's that for the market profile on Ethereum. Let's have a look here on the session profile, and in terms of session, again, very much the same thing. The CVD is very much flat whilst the price is going up, so there's slightly bullish there, and there's not really an indication of bearish divergence on this. Okay, the only thing really on the session is that we've got a few single prints here around about $2,500, $2,600, but I don't think those are significant, especially when we've got so much weight above us in terms of resistance. So I'm not paying much attention to that. So that's basically Ethereum versus USD. Let's have a look at Ethereum BTC. And Ethereum BTC very much, I beg your pardon, Ethereum BTC still very much within that same range. We did break above. This is interesting, so let me just delete these. In fact, I'm going to make it like this so I can just delete these brush strokes. We are at the first level, so we've broken the first level of resistance, sorry, and we are at the second level of resistance here. So this first level of resistance was the point of control, and we broke above that on the Ethereum BTC chart. As you can see here, the blue zone is just a high volume cluster, and the point of control of that is just been broken. So what does that mean? Well, there's a little bit of momentum on Ethereum, most definitely, and it does look like this level now should act as support. So I'm going to change this to green, and I'll put that as a line for now. And in fact, I'm going to make this very, very thin. And in fact, I'm going to put it as a dotted line, like that. Okay, so the first level of support is around about 71,000 sats, which is essentially this point of control. But it does look promising. It does look like we've come all the way. So from an overview point of view, sorry, I'm all over the place with this one. But we entered this balance area, and how we test balance usually is we firm up the balance by testing both sides. We've tested both sides of this balance now, okay? We've come and tried this low volume node, which if you look over to the right where we've bounced here, you can see here it's essentially right on the crosshairs of that low volume node. We've tested that, and now we've come to that point of control, and we broke above it. So Ethereum could definitely outperform Bitcoin here, okay? So if it had come to the point of control and then rolled over, then I would be inclined to say that Bitcoin will continue to outperform Ethereum. However, this is a very good sign. It's a very early sign because obviously we're still printing the same concept, lower highs and lower lows. However, because we broke above this point of control, I do expect that the price could come and test now the other edge of that balance, okay? So around about 80,000 sats. So that's something to keep an eye on in terms of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So yeah, let's just wait and see, okay? So Ethereum essentially could be going sideways here versus USD whilst Bitcoin dumps. And if that's the case, then obviously this chart here will look like Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. So let's just have a look at where we are in the week and see where we are. But I expect there's a couple of levels of resistance here that essentially they're just low volume nodes. I'm going to adjust this one slightly there, and this one around about here. And we are right on that level right now, okay? So yeah, we just have to wait and see, but it does look a little bit more bullish for Ethereum versus BTC. So yeah, I do think that there is a strong chance that we've got a nice little trend here with higher lows as well. Okay, so in fact, let me just adjust that slightly. There's a slight deviation there, but nevertheless, there is a little trend there going on. 3 taps, that's good enough for me. So even if we were going to come down here, then I think that this will perhaps hold again as the edge of this volume cluster. So there's a little bit of confluence there. And in terms of resistance for a trend line, deviation to the downside, we're almost there, okay? So around about 74,000 sats. If we break above that, then of course we're very likely to come and test 80,000 sats. But we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I don't really pay much attention to trend lines and triangles and patterns. I'm just looking at volume most of the time. But this is essentially what I'm seeing. We broke above the point of control, and that's a very, very good start. So yeah, let's just wait and see if we can break above this. Around about 78 to 80,000 sats is where we want to see Ethereum go, if it is indeed to outperform Bitcoin. Of course, if the price comes all the way up to here, what it's done is broken this market structure, and it's printed essentially a higher high, okay? So even if the price then retraces and comes all the way back to here, as long as it stays above of this low here, or perhaps even this one, right, which is around about 65,000 sats, then this still counts as a break at market structure and positive price action, as it, well, constructive price action, as we've printed a higher high and a higher low, okay? So that would be the beginning of a break at market structure and bullish price action for Ethereum versus Bitcoin, okay? So that's essentially what I'm saying. So let's move on to the altcoins, and again I'll reiterate this, none of these altcoins, okay, I'll rephrase that, not many of these altcoins are completely uncoupled from the rest of crypto, okay? If Bitcoin goes up, these altcoins tend to go up. If Bitcoin goes down, most of these altcoins go down as well. So just bear that in mind, because this TA that I'm going to give you right now are levels of resistance and support, but this means nothing if Bitcoin decides to dump violently, or if it decides to pump to the upside, you know. So the price will move generally, I'm just giving you levels of interest. Okay, so anyway, with that out of the way, let's have a look at FODL versus USDC. Okay, so very interesting. I've got volume profile here, and we are right on that point of control here. Okay, so essentially what I want to see is the price get above this point of control here, right about 17 cents, 17.6 cents, and we're kind of right there. So we're 0.175. I want to see a 0.177 really, just to show that we broke above this point of control. If we do so, that's bullish, and I think we can count on this as support. But for now, we just have to wait and see what the price is for this. Sorry, there was a little bit of an intermission, a little problem there with the live stream. I can see now that everything's back to normal. So I just had a notification saying that I stopped streaming. So essentially what I'm saying now is that if we break above this point of control here, it's a little bit more bullish for FODL versus USD. We do have plenty of resistance here, around about 20 cents, 22 cents, 24 and so on, increments of 2 cents. But I know there's quite a lot going on with FODL in the background, and essentially this could mean that the price is likely to rally. So just edge your bets accordingly. It does look like FODL is found a little bottom here around about the 16-cent mark. Okay, so do with that what you will. That was FODL versus USDC. Let's have a look at FODL versus ETH. So as ETH is looking a little bit strong, there's no surprise that we see FODL being a little bit weaker in comparison. We've not come and tested these levels of support just yet, but it is quite possible that we come and test those yet. Okay, so we are essentially just at the on the edge of this low volume area here. I'm so sorry about this. I'm having problems here with my connection. I think we're okay now. Reconnection successful. So I think the live stream is up and running again. I do apologize for that. Something going on with my internet. I'm not sure why. It just kind of it just kicked me out of the internet for some reason. So I hope everything's okay now. I'm just going to keep an eye on this and keep OBS open so that I know what's going on. But yeah, essentially just a quick recap. I don't know if you got any of that, so I'll just go over it again. We've got a low volume node and a couple of levels here of support. We've not tested those just yet. We did lose the point of control here, but as long as Ethereum is looking strong compared to altcoins, then this will be reflected on this chart as it is FODL versus ETH. Okay, so I do know, like I said, that there's quite a lot in the pipeline for FODL happening in the next sort of like couple of weeks to couple of months. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this turn around. But for now, and until the next technical analysis update, we are seeing a little bit of weakness here versus ETH, and we've got some levels of support here that hopefully the price will bounce on here. We've also got some levels of resistance, including the one at the point of control, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I think this is a great opportunity to buy FODL at these levels. So, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so do with that information what you will. Like I said, FODL is at all-time low, so this is a scary chart if you are thinking about buying. But you know, nobody makes money buying the top. Okay, usually you make money by selling the top and buying at the bottom. So again, a little bit of free information there for you. Let's have a look at AAVE versus USD. And yeah, so AAVE versus USD, we're kind of like testing. Like I said before, we could be rotating between these two levels here. or if we break to the upside, we could be rotating between those two levels there, which is between $160 and $190. And if we break to the downside, then somewhere between $100 and $130 is the next range. Okay, so at the moment we tried, at least yesterday we tried to break to the upside, and today we got rejected, so we're kind of back inside of this range here, as you can see a little bit more clearly here. Okay, so this, I'm going to leave this level here as resistance because it is still resistance. I might just leave it as orange actually, because we're kind of like toying with the idea of breaking above it. In terms of market structure, you can see here that's actually been working very, very well, going sideways within this range. If we break above this range, that is quite likely that we're going to test the top of that range there. Okay, yet to be seen, of course, it hasn't happened yet, but that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, in terms of volume studies here, you can see that the volume is decreasing whilst the price is increasing, and again, it's the same story across the board. I don't see that as a positive, but you know, do with that information what you will. I do think that AAVE versus USD has a possibility to range between these two levels, again 160 and 190, but right now it looks like it's getting rejected, and we're going to go back to this level here, okay, and range between these two, between 130 and 160. So that's AAVE versus USDC. AAVE versus BTC. Interesting. Let's have a look at the daily chart here. I'm going to delete these scribbles just because these scribbles were something that I highlighted in the last technical analysis update, and they're just not making a lot of sense right now. So to try and illustrate what I'm seeing here on AAVE versus Bitcoin is that obviously AAVE is starting to pick up a little bit, and even if it looks really, really good on US dollars, or if it looks like it broke above to the next range, here it's still lacking a little bit. Okay, we did, in terms of market structure, we kind of like, if we ignore this wick here, we did break above and created a higher high, and then we created a higher low, but then we've created a lower high and yet another lower low. So you know, this is very tricky price action here versus Bitcoin on AAVE. So at the moment this looks like we're trending up, the volume is declining, and we're still kind of inside of this balance area. So for me, and for now, I do think that this level here could be tested as support now, and this level here carries on being resistance, and so will this one here, and so will this one here. Okay, so essentially this low volume node here is the next level of resistance at around about 5,800 sats. The next level of support is around about 4,000 sats and 3,240 sats. Okay, so we have to wait and see if the price can break above this. In context of this high volume cluster here, you can see that this is a low volume area as well, so it's perhaps unsurprising that the price is kind of struggling to get above that. Okay, if we get a break above this resistance here at 4,800 sats, then it is quite likely that we start rotating here, going sideways like this. Okay, and perhaps even test this the edge of this other balance area, but we'll have to wait and see. There's no indication of that just yet. For now, I do think that the most likely case scenario is we come all the way up to here and then just roll over, okay, and perhaps print a lower low, okay, and maybe even test the bottom of this range. So that for me is the most likely case scenario. Okay, that's for AAVE versus BTC. AAVE versus ETH. Again, we've got all these scribbles here from the previous TA update. Not far from the truth, although this is exactly what I thought it was going to happen. We were going to go sideways and then perhaps land down here, or even start rotating in between these two. And for now, that level of resistance is acting and doing what it's supposed to do, which is indeed resistance. So again, nothing changes really. I'm going to delete those brush strokes anyway. But I do think that the price will perhaps find a little bit of support here at around about 0.048. And it could even go lower to the all-time lows, which is around about 420, so 420 way. So this level carries on being resistance, and so does this one here. Very strong resistance as well. As you can see, we've got a couple of anchored VWAPs there, and also a nice big order block here on the daily, and there's no surprise that the price couldn't break above that. So again, do with that information what you will, but I do think that AAVE versus ETH has room for more downside. Okay, especially as ETH is starting to look a little bit more bullish compared to Bitcoin as well. So in terms of, this is compound versus USD, we are very much at the bottom here. We've tested this low volume node, we got below it, and now we're testing that and being rejected on that. So that's still resistance at around about $130. We are currently around about $125. I don't know why the price line is not showing on any of these. There we are, $125, 125.5. So 129 is resistance, 148 or more or less 150, and then 170 and $200, 197 to be precise. These are the levels of resistance above. Levels of support, we've got $100 and then we've got $80, rough thereabouts. Okay, 101 and 81. But essentially what I'm saying is that there's not a lot of support below, and if we break below, then this could go into price discovery mode and go a lot lower. So we'll have to wait and see. But compound versus USD, not looking too clever, even though it looks like we've started printing a little bottom, a local bottom here. So we'll have to wait and see. Of course, the bullish case scenario for this is that even if it comes down and picks up this liquidity with a wick, then it snaps straight back up and start breaking above these levels of resistance one by one, okay, and do constructive price action, just like it's done a little bit of unconstructive price action here with lower lows and lower highs. We'd want to see that happening, but to the upside. Okay, so it really depends if crypto can get some momentum behind it. But again, with Bitcoin being a little bit bearish, I don't see that happening in the near future. So again, do with that what you will. Compound versus Bitcoin. Unsurprisingly, compound's looking a little sign of hope there, looking a little bit bullish compared to Bitcoin, but nothing extreme. I mean, we're still printing lower highs and lower lows. So again, these coins are still very much on a downward spiral, and even if the price comes all the way up to here to around about 374 sats, I do expect the price to roll over and go below. Okay, it could even go as high as this level here, around about 426 sats. And maybe even 500 sats, okay, but I don't see that happening. I think that in fact what we'll do is that we'll come here at this level of previous support here, we bounced here as support, okay, now we come below it, so we'll test that this level here as previous resistance, okay, sorry, as previous support will be now resistance, so this will be the level to short on compound versus BTC. So I'm glad to be proven otherwise, but for now I can only tell you what I see on the charts. Okay, so again, we're very much here at all-time lows, and now this is just price discovery for compound. We'll have to rely on big round numbers. Okay, so again, mono, you can see here that we're nowhere near back inside of the range. Okay, so we need to break above 500 sats in order to be back inside the range. That would be promising. To be fair, I would much prefer to see this break above 700 sats here, which is where that point of control is, and then if it did something like this and then it came here to test that support, in an ideal world that would be the entry for a long, and I would be targeting the value area high there, but I don't see that happening anytime soon, as we are still very much at all-time lows. So that was compound versus BTC. Let's have a look at compound versus ETH, which would be very much the same story, and make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, very much the same story. We're still printing lower highs and lower lows. We're at historical lows here, and again we've got levels of resistance above and not much in the way of support below, simply because we are at all-time lows, and again there's no price history below us. Okay, so you'll have to rely on round numbers such as 500, 400, 300 and so on in order to gauge levels where we might in fact bounce, but at the moment looking a little bit bearish on compound versus Ethereum, and Ethereum continues to outperform most of these altcoins. Basic attention token versus Bitcoin versus US dollar. So BAT versus USD. I am going to delete I do beg your pardon. Drawing, that's why. For some reason it doesn't like it here. going to leave that alone. I'm just going to go onto here and just delete it one by one. It's a little bit easier. So apologies for that. You can see here that we've basically, I've highlighted here a low volume node, low volume area. That's exactly where the price went to. It got to the low volume area and it started rolling over. Okay, so actually this is also 90 cents was a big round number. If we could have broken above 95 cents, 96 cents, something like that, then I would have bet on the price kind of start rotating inside of this volume area here, inside of this balance area, so between this range. But as it stands right now, it does look like we entered this balance area here, we bounced on this low volume node, and we couldn't get above it on that level of resistance. So again, for me, this is a short, and I would expect price to come and test at least this level here, and perhaps even these levels down here. Okay, so if Bitcoin decides to have a little funny 5 minutes to the downside, I do expect these levels to be hit. So that's around about 65 cents and then 48 cents, or 50 cents if you like. Just bear in mind that these levels here mean nothing if Bitcoin decides to go up, of course, as most of these coins will get dragged up. If Bitcoin decides to go down, then the levels to the downside are very likely to get hit. That's essentially why I'm doing this. Okay, so again, we've entered a new balance area. I do think that we firm up both sides in order to gauge support. So for me, BAT versus USD looking very much like a short at this level. Okay, the invalidation for that is that we break above here and we find acceptance above 95 cents. If we find this here that is now support, we break above it and then find that this is support, then I think it's very likely that we come and test these levels up here at around about $1.34. Okay, I hope that is clear for you guys. So that was basic attention, BAT versus USD, basic attention token versus USD. BAT versus BTC, this should be interesting. So looks like we found a little bit of support here, right at this level that I had highlighted already, and we've kind of not tested this level of resistance here at 2,449 sats yet, but it looks like we're on our way to do that. So if Bitcoin just goes sideways and nothing's happening on Bitcoin, and these coins can carry on rallying, or at least going a little bit to the upside with a bit of better performance, then there's a strong chance that this outperforms Bitcoin, or starts outperforming Bitcoin, very much like what Ethereum's doing. However, as we just saw on BAT versus USD, it does look like it's on its way down. So if Bitcoin also goes down, we'll have to wait and see which one is the strongest. But this is classic. Okay, so this is basically a trend. In fact, let me just do this properly. Trend line. Okay, price broke that trend line, came back and tested it, confirmed it as resistance, and then we broke to the downside. This was a previous resistance, now it's confirmed as support, and we're still kind of like rotating here sideways. So it is quite likely that we do something like this. Okay, why not? We could even have a deviation to the downside, deviations to the upside, but we could just rotate sideways for now. So we'll have to wait and see. But for now, there's not really much going on BAT versus Bitcoin. I've got the levels of resistance and support highlighted there for you. So again, 2,500, 2,700, and 2,900 as levels of resistance. And we've got 2,000 sats, 1,600 sats, and 1,100 sats as levels of support. So just bear that in mind, okay? So that was BAT versus Bitcoin. BAT versus ETH. Again, not much going on. The same thing applies. Put trend line there. Okay, the price broke below the trend line, came back and tested that as resistance, and now we're kind of rolling over. So I expect continuation on this, and we could even start rotating here. Do something like this, just rotating sideways, but we'll just have to wait and see. That would be just speculation. For now, it does look like there's a break in market structure, and we're going to go a little bit lower, and I expect BAT to be, especially if BAT versus US dollar decides to go to the downside and all the majors carry on going sideways. So as it happens, it does look like BAT is looking weaker than ETH. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Link versus USD, very much the same story here. We tested, we came lower, we kind of came up and tested the edge of this high volume cluster here, and we've got rejected. So This is probably a little bit more visible on the 4 hour, but I'm just going to make it visible here. As you can see here, low volume area here, price just got there, tagged that, basically that imbalance, and we confirmed that as resistance, and now it's being rejected. So Link versus USD, I do expect a little bit more downside, and it could just come up to $15 and just stay at $15 and rotate between 15 and 18. It is quite possible, but it can also come down to 13 and $10, which is the next levels of support. So it just all depends on what Bitcoin's doing. Okay, so right now, in terms of market structure, it does look like we've printed a bottom here, and it does look like we've printed a higher high. So let's just wait and see if this starts printing a higher low. And if it prints a higher low and then breaks that market structure, then this would be a nice big, nice little beginning, if you like, of constructive price action. And if that's the case, this would be quite bullish for Link. Okay, so at the moment I'm not seeing that happen. We could just, this was just proven as resistance, and we could just come and test all the way down to $10. So we'll just have to wait and see. This is a strong rejection. It's happening in real time. So I expect Bitcoin's having a bit of a funny 5 minutes to the downside. So unsurprisingly. So that was Link versus USD, Link versus BTC. Again, it's being outperformed, even though it did look promising there with higher highs and higher lows. So now it remains to be seen if we break this 4,266 level. If we break this, that's a break in market structure again, essentially this low here, and that would be a lower low. Okay, if we break the lower low to the downside, then we're printing a lower high and we carry on down. So it would look something like this, back up and carry on down, and so on. Okay, so you guys get the picture. So at the moment, even though it looked a little bit more promising here with a higher high, it looks like it's just going to get rejected. So we'll have to wait and see. Okay, confirmation of that is obviously a break in this level around about 4,250 sats. Link versus ETH, again very much the same story. Okay, although this looked a little bit more interesting if I remember correctly when I did this on Monday. Higher highs, higher lows. Okay, so we printed a higher high here, significantly higher than this one, and we've kind of slowly retraced this whole move, but we've also printed a higher low here compared to this one on the 4 hour. Okay, so this will be more visible on the daily, as you can see here. Temporary bottom above resistance, come back, tested the previous resistance as support, rallied, printed a higher high, and now we've retraced the whole thing pretty much, but we've just printed a little bottom here, and this looks like a higher low. So if we can hold this level here around about 6,000 way, I think it is 0.006 Ethereum, that means that we are indeed doing constructive price action, and we've got a very strong chance to break at least to this area here where we start rotating sideways, or even perhaps to this area here where we start going sideways there. Okay, so that's essentially what we want to see for the bullish price action. If we don't see that higher low here and it goes to the downside, then of course this level here is crucial, and we can either start rotating here or indeed break to the downside and then go and test these lows. Okay, so you just have to keep in mind for both case scenarios, but at least you've got some levels now that you can sort of pause the video and have a look at and perhaps start making notes. Okay, so that was Link versus Ethereum. So now Uni versus USD. I keep doing that. We didn't even have the strength to come and test this level here of resistance, but again, that might just be because Bitcoin is going down. So I don't know if that's the case. I'll have a look in a minute. But again, we're kind of like, this is the levels of resistance above, these are the levels of support, and it's very much the same thing across the board, where essentially we want to see a break in market structure in order to get bullish on these coins again. Yeah, that means that you might not get the bottom, and this is perhaps the best time to enter here as a low volume node here, as you can see here, low volume area on this particular volume cluster here. Let me just put that as mono. 101. right? So I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but there's like a low volume area here highlighted. Okay, that's where the price bounced from. Okay, so even if we come and test the edge of this big volume cluster here, of this big balance area, which is exactly what I've done there, I do expect that if the price gets there, this will be a good opportunity to short, and this will just roll over. Okay, and again, it would still go in the same trend, right? Lower highs, low lows, lower highs, lower lows, and so on. Okay, so don't FOMO into shorts at these levels here. Wait for the retrace and then FOMO into a short. Okay, at these levels you could perhaps be going long, and it is quite possible that we do the sort of like the endless kind of cycle that just gets smaller and smaller. Okay, so essentially going back up here, and we are essentially here. Okay, and we could go up and print a lower high and yet still be within the trend, if that makes any sense. Okay, so you can do scalps by all means, but I'm just doing this sort of a macro view on the 4-hour chart, etc., just so that you guys keep that in mind, and so that this is still very much valid by Friday morning. Okay, so Uni versus USD, not really much in the way of direction, other than the fact that we are very much at the bottom here. Okay, so if we are to have any direction to the upside, this is the level of resistance that I'd be looking at. If we break to the downside, then these are the levels of support that you should be looking at. So around about $10, $8, $4.89, which was around about $5, and then $3 and $2. Okay, so again, nice big round numbers have confluence with these things. Uni versus BTC. I'm going to delete this. And you can see very much that we've entered this balance area here. We come and tested above. This is a low volume area here that I've highlighted with this little circle here and the red rectangle. And you can see that the price got there and got rejected. Okay, so this is basically what acceptance looks like. And we've got acceptance inside of this balance area, even though it's a weird one and all jagged. So I do expect that the next area of support, even though we've got a couple of levels there, will be down here. So this is the target. If you're looking to enter short here on Uni versus BTC, this is the target around about 2,200 sats. Okay, that's where I expect price to go if we are indeed to carry on this trend and go sideways. Because this area here is a low volume area, this is very strong resistance, and it's very unlikely that the price breaks above it, even if Bitcoin is rallying. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see, but this is a very significant level of resistance, and as a matter of fact, this level here, 2,886, just above us here, is also resistance now. So yeah, I do expect the price to come a little bit lower, around about 2,200 sats, where I'll be looking to see if there's any signs of reversal. That's on Uni versus Bitcoin. Uni versus ETH. Wow, okay, so this level here, which is again the edge of a high volume cluster, or a low volume node if you like, already got tested as well, and very much the same scenario as Bitcoin. Got rejected and we just fallen out of there. So I think we go into price discovery mode here, and we didn't even quite get to the second level of resistance. We got stopped at the first one, and so, but the direction is the same. I did say that we're going to likely to go up first before we go down, and that's exactly what's happening here right now. So we'll have to wait and see if any of these levels here are levels of interest for buyers, and we have to wait and see if anybody steps in to bid here. But if not, then I expect the price to go a little bit lower, and we'll have to look at big round numbers such as 300 here, and then 250, 200, and so on, and have these increments as levels of interest to either buy or exit your position. So I think that is it in terms of all of the altcoins. Let's have a quick look at Bitcoin again, just to see what's going on. Okay, we're seeing a little bit of a dump, and that's why we're seeing that price happening on altcoins as well. So just a little bit of a recap. As I said, this level here between $41,000 and $44,000 remains a level of imbalance and a level to look for shorts. But because everybody's eyeing up this level and it's become so obvious, then I wouldn't be surprised to see this turn over and start breaking market structure to the downside without even testing those. So it is quite possible that it does that. You could also keep an eye on the NASDAQ and the S&P here, although they're looking positive by 0.5 point and 0.3% here. Bitcoin is dumping, so the main take to take from this really is that the price is going up whilst the volume is going down, and for me that's usually an indication of lack of strength. Okay, so again, a break in market structure here would be to get below this $36,700 level, and if we break that to the downside, then it's a question of going to test that high again and then come lower and do something like this. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see, but for now I think that is it. I've talked for long enough. I will have another TA update for you guys on Friday. In the meantime, keep an eye on the in the group. They're always posting charts there and trade ideas, etc. I hope this helps get you get an idea of where the markets are going, and it helps you stay in the right side of the market. But yeah, in the meantime, take care, trade smart, and I shall see you guys on Friday. Thanks for watching.